Heyo everybody, Haku here with an edutainment Tower of God video. Today I wanted to talk about something that I've wanted to talk about for a while, and that's the naming conventions in Tower of God, the traditional way that names are set up in Tower of God, and also how we can use the traditional naming conventions that CU uses to predict some things. In particular, predicting Pobedao Lyborick Kun's lineage, and also trying to predict V's family name or surname. I think we can do both of those. So I took a little bit longer on this video than I wanted because I wanted to be able to put some stuff up on screen as I'm talking about certain things. So yeah, let's get into this first with talking about basic naming convention that's usually used in Tower of God. I say usually because there are definitely some mold breakers, like, there's just Red Greymon, or there's Grande Venti and Tall. There are some weird ones, but a lot of Tower of God names do fit into a bit of a certain mold sometimes. I think the absolute best and most complete example to use for the purposes of this video is Kunaguero Agnes. It's very common in Tower of God to put the father surname, or just in general, the most important family surname first. We see this with all of the 10 family heads. We see this with pretty much any character from a 10 family. Now, something that Line did is, rather than saying like Yu Han-sung or Ha Jin-sung, Ha Yuri Zahard, a lot of these names, for some reason they mixed around the name order from what it was in the original Korean. I don't really prefer that because I'm like, just keep the regular name order. I am much less confused, like with manga and anime and stuff. If you just keep the original name order, even if it's surname first then given name, it's totally easier for me to get used to it if it's in the sort of original name order of whatever language it is. I think that an audience can catch on to that, and I think mixing up first and last names is confusing, especially when you don't stay uniform with it, because like sometimes the line translation would mix around the first and last name, sometimes it would leave it the same as in the source material. But in the source material, it is usual for the great family surname to come first, or family surname in general, like with Honak Raptor, Yomiseng, Yogoseng, a lot of those. The family name comes first, and then the given name that everybody, well, almost everybody calls them by, with exceptions like Kun. Everybody calls him by Kun instead of Aguero, except for his own family members, and a lot of people call him Eye. But we also know that in the case of Kunaguero Agnes, that Agnes is his mother's name or surname. So this is another thing that we see with a few other names, where the mother's name or surname is last, or in the case of princesses, the sort of, I don't know what you would call Zahard. Would it be the adopted name, or I'm not sure what you would call it, but Zahard is put last. So you can't always say that it's the most important family first, because you would figure Zahard would be more important than the 10 family name. But the princesses are generally surname, then given name, then Zahard. Sometimes they even drop the surname or the family surname sometimes, like with Lopobia Lilial Shahad or Zahard and Lopobia Shilial Zahard, where they usually just shorten it to Lilial Zahard and Shilial Zahard. So it's something like that. But I think that Kunaguero Agnes is generally the best example of a normal name in Tower of God. There are a few exceptions to this, and those few exceptions seem to be the Blitz family and names that are Western in nature. Like David Hockney is just David Hockney. David Hockney might also just be another Grande Venti and Tall moment where CU just said, David Hockney, who cares which is the first and which is the last name, because I'm just naming him after the actual artist, David Hockney. But the Blitz family is also an exception, where it's never Blitz Quattro or Blitz Quant. It's always Quant Blitz and Quattro Blitz. That name is always put last instead of first. So that one is a notable exception, but usually surnames come first, then the given name, and then either the mother's surname or the either the mother's surname or the name Zahard. Now, one possible exception to this that I really, before this video, I should have studied up on them more, but I was focused more on Lyborick and V. But one that I should have studied more on is Kunhind Luck. A lot of characters called him Luck, which was the third name, so I don't know if names were mixed up, if the translation was changed in any way. I really should have done more research on him, but hey, maybe I can do that and throw it in the comments. But either way, now moving on to how we can use this formula to kind of guess what's going on with Pobedal Lyborick as if it's not already kind of obvious. So if you couldn't already tell, what I was getting at is that because of his name order, I would say that we can predict that Lyborick's father is from the Pobedal family, maybe not Gastang himself, maybe Gastang himself because Lyborick seems like really, really strong, and his mother is from the Kun family. You could always argue that the name order doesn't really hold a ton of weight because Eurasia and Zahard is the daughter of Gastang, so they should use Pobedal, but rather they use Eurasia. But maybe that just meant they were closer to the Eurasia in the nature of their abilities or how they looked, and that's why they used the name Eurasia. And also there is a hard princess, so it's just questionable all around which name they would take. They're kind of another exception. So yeah, I would predict from this that even if his father isn't Gastang specifically, that Lyborick's mother is from the Kun family and father from the Pobedal family because of the name order going on and how it fits into the usual Kun Agro Agnes name order used in Tower of God. The only problem is, I'm making this argument and I'm saying this is what's normally used, but of course it can always be proven wrong because CU doesn't always follow the rules. Another great example of CU not following the rules, like I mentioned, usually Western names in the Blitz family are given name first, then surname. Everything else is surname first, then given name. But then Arlen Grace breaks the mold because I usually say, or try to say, Grace Arlen, because literally every other one of the family heads, the Great Warriors, go surname first, then given name. But I could be wrong. My only source I was able to find on this was the wiki, so that could always just be wrong. But from my source there, it was that in the original Korean, her name order is Arlen Grace rather than Grace Arlen. Even though it should be Grace Arlen is, it fits as a surname because we know that a shared surname is between Arlen and Merche, and or Merchia, and Grace Merchia Lislek is his name order, so of course them having the same surname would fit if Grace came before Arlen. So again, it's just another weird exception if that's true, but it could always just be a mistake on someone's part somewhere along the way, and I would like to just imagine that Grace Arlen would be the correct name order, given that that fits with literally every other great warrior we've seen so far. But this also, I think, leads into how we can use this name order in a certain main character from the series to predict V's family name. So, the things we know about the name Juvial Grace are that the name was given to Baum by Grace Merche Lislek, who a lot of people were surprised, this is according to blog posts and stuff, a lot of people in the tower were surprised that Grace Merche Lislek would give his own surname to Juvial Grace. Now, from the conversation we've had between Baum and Garam, we know that this could very, very well be Baum's real name. Juvial Grace could be his actual name, and a lot of characters still call him by Viol. I like, personally, to use Viol when I can, though Baum is just such a habit for me. I do like the idea that this is his real name, though. We also know, the only thing we know V by is the name V, and also that V isn't even his real name. It was an affectionate name that Arlen called him by, but then again we see, son of V, coming from Gastang, so apparently other people called him by that name too. So we have no idea what his real name is, whatsoever. But we do know that Grace is Grace Arlen's surname, we know that Grace is Grace Merche Lislek's surname, and we know that Grace Arlen is pretty much confirmed to be Bomb's mother. And we also know that the characters that call Viol by this name call him Viol. They don't call him Jew, they don't call him Grace, they all call him Viol. So that's clear that that's the given name. So the name order fits Kunagro Agnes's name order. We know that his mother is Grace Arlen, and Juvial Grace has the name Grace in the third slot, and we know that everyone calls him Viol, and the given name is straight in the middle slot. So from that, we can further extrapolate that Jew, and I'm using the spelling from the original The Company translation because it's a better translation, we know that Jew comes first in Juvial Grace, so it's very, very likely that that could be V's surname. So yeah, that's my guess. Now we can further guess at his name. He's Jew V. We don't know if V is his actual name or not, because it was supposed to be a nickname given to him by Arlen, but other people call him that too, so who knows. But it's a guess that we can make. And I just thought it was a fun exercise to go through to try to figure this stuff out, try to give a guess at stuff like that. So if we did have 12 great families, as it was supposed to be, we would have had the Jew family and the Grace family. But that is it for this. Also, before I leave, the name Viol, or Violet, but I always say Viol because I'm just very, very used to it. Sorry for pronouncing it wrong so often. But I just wanted to clear this up because there are always these half-baked theories of, oh, what if it means some dark stuff that I probably shouldn't talk about on YouTube to not get demonetized in French? So what if CU is trying to use that name to hint at that? No, CU is, like, already said that the name Viol comes from the color violet. So that's where the name Viol comes from. That's what it got inspiration from. It doesn't mean anything dark or bad. It's in reference to the color violet, which we saw with the Shinsu that he used when first going by Juvial Grace. So, yeah, that is it. That's where we are with this video. Sorry that it took so long and that I kind of meandered a bit. Wasn't really sure how best to convey these thoughts to you, but I hope it was informative and I hope it was enjoyable for you all. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, just ask and I'll give you a link. It's free and open for anyone. And if you would like to help support the channel on Patreon, it is patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description. Yeah, that would help a lot, and I have a bunch more Tower of God stuff coming, so I'm going to end this here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.